Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the August 11th, 2019 special edition of The Breast There Is, The Breast There Was, and The Breast There Ever Will Be Wrestling Podcast. As always, I am your host, Mikey B, WWE, and today is Season 3, Episode 5 of my podcast, and tonight's edition is a special edition, of course, because tonight's pay-per-view event is the first of the big four pay-per-views of the 2019-2020 WWE calendar, SUMMERSLAM. SUMMERSLAM is taking place in Toronto, Ontario, Canada today, and I've been in Toronto crowds before, most specifically at WrestleMania 18, and the crowds there are always very electric, so I'm very excited to see the crowd responses tonight, especially for some of the matches featuring some of our Canadian competitors. So on SummerSlam's card, there are 10 matches currently listed on WWE.com for the main card. As always, I have always, since I've been conducting this podcast, I've only reviewed matches which will be featured on the actual pay-per-view card, none of the kickoff pre-show matches. Right now, on the website, there are no kickoff pre-show matches listed. There's a chance some of the ones which are listed on this actual card right now might get moved to that. And there's also certainly a possibility that some matches might get added to the actual proper main event card. Namely, we don't know if Roman Reigns is going to be having a match. There's nothing listed right now after his recent attacks on him. So, but for the purposes of doing this podcast, I can only list matches which are on WWE.com's website, and this is the day of. This is Sunday, August the 11th. So, yeah, those ones, only the matches I can give predictions for, of course, I can be tallied for, and I will only factor that in to my overall record, the matches which wind up appearing on the card. So meaning if some of these matches which I'm about to give a prediction for appear on the kickoff show, then I will not include those in my overall record for this season. And speaking of which, after the first four pay-per-views since WrestleMania this year, my record stands out of 37 matches on the main cards of the four pay-per-views. I have 24 of the 37 correct. So now, heading into SummerSlam, there are, like I said, 10 matches scheduled right now on WWE.com's website. So I'm going to just give the predictions for these matches listed. The first of the 10 is for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship, featuring champion Drew Gulak versus Oni Lorcan. I'll be honest, I typically just watch Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, and of course all the pay-per-views, so I'm not as inundated with the 205 Live Cruiserweight division. Oftentimes this gets bumped down to the kickoff show anyways, these matches, so I kind of go into predictions for the Cruiserweights a little bit blind. So that said, I'm going to choose Drew Gulak to retain his belt, and I'm also hoping this one gets featured on the kickoff show, so it won't affect my prediction rate anyways. So Drew Gulak would be my choice to retain the WWE Cruiserweight Championship there. Match number 2 is Finn Balor taking on the recently returned and newly rebranded Bray Wyatt as The Fiend Bray Wyatt. As is basically the rule of thumb, anytime I give predictions for which feature competitors who have been on a hiatus and making their long-awaited return match, it would be very foolish by the company to make Bray Wyatt lose to Finn Balor here, especially with how, and I think they've done an incredible job of making Bray Wyatt even creepier than he has already been ever before. So I think they really have something here with a great bad guy heel character. I've noticed that since he's appeared back on the live shows as this Fiend character, they've always included him in the final hour of Raw, which suggests to me that his appearance and his character has become so creepy that they don't want to feature it on the early parts of the cards just so they don't offend the younger viewers. get any sort of public backlash from that. So anyways, they've done an incredible job with his character, his rebranded character. I personally feel like I suspected that with him having this Fiend character and going after Finn Balor, I think that I thought right away, now they're going to make Finn Balor come as the Demon King, which I think will happen, but I don't think that'll happen tonight, because I think this is a feud which will probably carry over at least for another month or two, and that match will, I think, eventually happen with Demon King versus the Fiend. To me, that makes only the most sense, but who knows? This could be a one-off, but regardless, I'm choosing the Fiend Bray Wyatt to be victorious. This, again, all logic points to Bray Wyatt being successful in his first return match and creating even more heat and reaction from the audience. So Bray Wyatt's my pick for match number 2. The third match on the card is for the United States Championship. It's featuring champion AJ Styles taking on Ricochet. I think just the fact that AJ Styles, they've also sort of turned his character back into a heel, and he's realigned himself with his old buddies, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. They formed their new group, their new faction called the OC, the original, I forget what the whole, it's a big long title that they've reduced to the OC, thankfully. So they and the fact that those guys, Gallows and Anderson, have also acquired some tag team belts, I think the company's gonna give this little faction, this heel faction, a run with all of them having belts. So even though it'd be certainly, I think, a feel good moment if Ricochet were to win tonight, I don't think that's gonna happen yet. I could see this carrying over for a few more months yet, possibly even to Survivor Series in November. We'll see. I mean, that might be a bit of a stretch, but I don't think AJ Styles will lose his belt tonight. I think the OC is going to stay strong. He'll probably even have help from his OC brothers. So my pick is AJ Styles to retain the United States Championship tonight. Match number 4. We have a recently returned Old Man Goldberg taking on Dolph Ziggler. I'm not really sure why this match is happening. Goldberg is not a good wrestler. He's old. Clearly they're just milking out whatever popularity he still has back from his days in the late 90s and early 2000s. So this match will be fast because Goldberg, again, is not a good wrestler. He can't put on a match more than probably 5 or 6 minutes. So and I feel bad for Dolph Ziggler because he's probably going to be on the bad end of this deal. He's going to lose to Goldberg just so the crowd gets what it wants. Goldberg beating Dolph Ziggler. It would be great. I would love to see, at the expense of my own prediction, I would love to see a twist where Dolph Ziggler, giving him a boost, actually defeats Goldberg. But I sadly don't think that's going to happen. I think in this sort of one-off situation, they're going to err on the side of let's give the audience a good feeling here, a good pop reaction. Goldberg's going to beat Dolph Ziggler. That's my prediction for the 4th match. The 5th match on the card is Kevin Owens taking on Shane McMahon. And if Kevin Owens loses, he will quit the WWE. So let's be realistic. Kevin Owens is not quitting the WWE. I know Shane McMahon's certainly going to pull out some of his henchmen, some of his buddies that he's aligned himself with recently, like Elias, Drew McIntyre, The Revival, who knows who else. I guess unless WWE decides to sort of renege on this match implication afterwards, which they've done. They've done things like this before where even namely Shane McMahon was in a match with Undertaker years ago at WrestleMania, and there was a whole thing that if Shane lost, he will not be able to, I think, be a GM or commissioner on SmackDown or Raw or whatever the case was. But ultimately the company just, when he did lose, they just said, oh well, he'll just still have that title. So this is clearly, these rules aren't these rules they're flexible. They can certainly make adjustments on the fly with them. That said, still Kevin Owens should win here. he's Canadian. He's going to get a great reaction tonight in Toronto. He's also become, as of late, more of a babyface character, a popular character. Good guy. So I think it all makes sense for Kevin Owens to be victorious here. And as well, Shane McMahon has nothing. If he does lose, there's no stipulation against him. So this feud could certainly continue as well, and Shane could have his henchmen beat up Kevin Owens after the result is done when Kevin Owens wins. But regardless, I'm choosing Kevin Owens to be victorious in that match. The next match is for the SmackDown Women's Championship, which features champion Bayley taking on Ember Moon. I would say in the build-up to SummerSlam, this is one of the matches which has not been given a whole lot of attention. And at the same time, I feel as though, I don't know, this could be one of the few where there is a title change, but I'm not even sure that's going to happen. It would be, actually, I think this is one of the ones I'm kind of deciding on a little bit on at the moment here. I do think there will be a title change. I think Ember Moon will win her first belt, even though it's been not much, there hasn't been much talk about this feud. Both of these characters are kind of, they're babyface, popular, good girl characters to the audience, which is kind of, you don't see matches that often like that. Typically, you'll see a good guy versus bad guy type of formula. So, I don't know. I think, I could see Ember Moon. I'm picking her. I don't know why. And there might be one of them might turn heel here, but I think Ember Moon will win her SmackDown Women's Championship, her first championship in the WWE on the main roster. So that's my pick there. And I should also know, I don't feel that many titles are going to change hands on this night. So that's why I feel this could be one of the few that does. So, anyways, all that said, Ember Moon is my pick to win the SmackDown Women's Championship. The next match on the card is getting another old-timer Hall of Famer, Trish Stratus, returning to take on Charlotte Flair. Trish Stratus is also, of course, Canadian and from the Toronto area, so she's going to get a tremendous reaction. Typically, when they have matches like this where you have, and I guess for some reason I don't feel it's going to apply to the Goldberg Dolph Ziggler, but oftentimes when you get a returning veteran who's been a star in the past, like Trish Stratus, like Bill Goldberg, taking on a younger person, obviously working full-time with the company, generally speaking, the rule of thumb is the aging veteran does the job for the young person to give them a big boost and propel their career forward. And an example of this, a recent example, is WrestleMania this year. Kurt Angle, in his farewell match, lost to Baron Corbin, which was surely, even though it got a ton of backlash publicly on social media, that's an very old style, old school. People who've been in this industry a long time, they respect these old rules and old traditions, and that was, I wasn't surprised to see Kurt Angle do that, because he's also quite an old school character as well, and he does the right thing there. But again, these ones, they feel a bit different. Like, I don't think Dolph Ziggler, because I don't see this really boosting his career, so that's why I think Goldberg's going to win in this one-off. And here in this match, it's possible that Charlotte could win. It's certainly possible, but I think that Trish Stratus is going to get the huge, maybe the biggest reaction of the night when she beats Charlotte Flair. So I think that the company is going to choose Trish Stratus to win in this match, possibly setting up another one where Charlotte Flair will win. And of course, like I said, it just as easily it could be Charlotte Flair winning soundly over Trish Stratus tonight. But I would like to think that the WWE is going to give the fans in Toronto a big, something to really cheer about. And I think Trish Stratus beating Charlotte Flair would be one of those moments. So I'm picking Trish Stratus over Charlotte Flair in this one. The 8th match of the night is for the WWE Championship, featuring champion Kofi Kingston taking on Randy Orton. This is one that's also I'm a bit torn about because I love Randy Orton. I think he's great. He's been great for many, many years. Kofi Kingston's also really good. I I like to see Randy Orton has a 13-time champion, and the all-time record right now is 16 times by Ric Flair, tied with John Cena. To me, from a fan viewer standpoint, it would be interesting to see Randy Orton make a run to chase that 16 mark or be the first to 17 as well. So I would like to see him win a few more championships in these coming years, setting up what would be an interesting storyline development if they make him and John Cena kind of race to that 17th spot. But Randy Orton, I don't know. I don't think it's time yet that they're going to take the belt off Kofi Kingston. This is arguably his biggest matchup since he's held the title. Of course, winning over Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania was massive because Daniel Bryan's such a well-respected wrestler in the industry. But since he's won that title, this match, I think, hands down, is his biggest challenge yet. And I think that the company is going to give Kofi that extra boost and say, and show the WWE universe that Kofi Kingston can hold his own with some of the top competitors in the company. So I think, even though this has the potential certainly to become a feud, an ongoing feud, and there might be some rematches in which Randy Orton might win, I think for tonight's purposes, Kofi Kingston will retain. If he does not, I would be surprised, even though Randy Orton is, I guess personally speaking, who I'd prefer to see to win. I just think that Kofi Kingston, I just don't think they're going to do it yet. I think it's going to happen probably in the next few months. So Kofi Kingston's my pick to retain over Orton, but I think there will be more opportunities for this belt for Orton shortly. Okay, moving on to the 9th match of the night. It's for the Raw Women's Championship, with champion Becky Lynch taking on Natalya. I'm looking here on WWE.com. It's not saying anything about a submission match, but they advertised it on TV this week that it will be a submission match. So that's how I'm going to announce that it will be. The outcome of this match, I feel I made the decision for my prediction here based on what I believe will be the outcome of the Trish Stratus Charlotte Flair match. Again, I think that in the Toronto crowd, I think WWE is going to give the Toronto fans a couple moments to celebrate one of their Canadians being victorious. Like I think Kevin Owens will be victorious. I think Trish Stratus will be. But here, I don't think that Natalya is going to be, even though she should get a tremendous reaction from the fans in Toronto. Her and Becky Lynch, I don't know. I think this is one that, and I hope this is a feud that will continue because they're both clearly top tier wrestlers in the female division in the WWE. They're two of the best. They've been two of the best for years. They're definitely part of the movement, the trend-setting movement with the women's evolution. So I think it's going to be a great match, and I think it's going to be a great reaction. I just think that Becky Lynch will still somehow retain the belt here. One thought I have in my mind, though, which wouldn't surprise me fully, is that since last month we haven't really heard much from Lacey Evans, who has been the bane of Becky Lynch's existence in recent months. I could also see something happening if Becky Lynch loses. I think something like this is bound to happen, where Lacey Evans comes back, interferes, causing Becky Lynch to lose to Natalya. I could actually very well see that happening, but and now that I'm thinking about it more, it's making me contemplate if I should rule in that favor. Part of me feels that I should, because Becky Lynch just beating Natalya soundly doesn't really allow as much room for continuation with their feud, but I guess it would. And it would return to Becky Lynch versus Lacey Evans or someone like that. And, of course, Lacey Evans, I have no proof that she's going to be someone that will have involvement in this match. It's just a feeling I have based on their recent history. But, nah, you know what? I'm going to stick with my original feeling, which is Becky Lynch is going to retain over Natalya. Even though I personally would enjoy seeing Natalya be victorious over Becky Lynch for a change of pace. But I think Becky will retain over Natalya, and hopefully this will be the continuation of a feud for another few months. And then, lastly, the 10th match on the card is for the Universal Championship, with champion Brock Lesnar taking on Seth Rollins. After their short WrestleMania match, I'm not very interested in this one. Not that excited, quite honestly. And I also think that the company's made pretty big efforts to get Brock Lesnar the title back, having him win the Money in the Bank, being a surprise entrant, and then delaying cashing it in, and then finally doing that against Seth Rollins last month. So I just think that, to me, it doesn't make sense for them to take it away from Brock Lesnar already. So I'm choosing Brock Lesnar to retain the Universal Championship over Seth Rollins tonight. So there you have it, fans. Those are my 10 predictions for tonight's Big Four, first of the Big Four WWE pay-per-view SummerSlam. Hopefully it's going to be, I think it will be an exciting event, because I think the crowd's going to be very electrifying, and they're going to be into it, and it's going to make for a fun event. And SummerSlam, again, with the Big Four, we should always expect really great moments, some of the better matches of the year. So I think we're going to see some tonight. So thanks very much for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel below if you liked what you heard. Thanks very much, and see you next time.